Welcome to Fort Ontario State Historic Site. Come explore the impressive fort and learn about its important role in American military history. For over 200 years, a fortification has stood at the mouth of the Oswego River. The site was vital to the interests of the Iroquois Confederacy, France, Great Britain, and the United States. The Hudson, Mohawk, Oneida Lake, Oswego River Passage provided a water route between the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes. Controlling the river provided a decisive advantage in trade, defense, and Native American relations. From the French and Indian War to the American Revolution, Fort Ontario, first established in the 1750s, played a strategic role in conflicts during New York's early European settlement and America's fight for independence. During the War of 1812, the British attacked the fort with protected waterways that carried supplies to Sackett's Harbor and the Niagara frontier. Although the British destroyed Fort Ontario and sacked Oswego before leaving, American military supply routes were quickly re-established. The current fort dates to the late 1830s when the Patriot War, aimed at Canadian independence, caused the United States to rebuild the fort. Although improved during the Civil War, it was underused throughout the late 19th century. At the turn of the century, the military post was expanded to train and house infantry units. The fort's outer works and dry moat were removed and a complex of brick buildings was constructed on the 75-acre Fort Ontario military reservation. During World War I, the base served as a hospital, treating thousands of wounded and disabled soldiers and training medical staff to serve in Europe. 30 frame buildings were added to the reservation for hospital use. From 1921 to 1940, the fort was headquarters of the 1st Brigade of the United States Army, with 2 battalions of the 28th Infantry Regiment and Headquarters Company. Shortly after, the 369th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Regiment, formerly the 15th Infantry Colored New York National Guard, trained here before distinguishing itself in the Pacific Theater of World War II. In 1940, the regiment was reorganized as the 369th Coastal Artillery, which was assigned to Benjamin Davis, who became the first African-American brigadier general. The fort later served as a school for military police and quartermasters, as well as an English language education center. Between August 1944 and February 1946, the fort was the only refugee shelter in the United States, housing nearly 1,000 refugees, including Jewish Holocaust survivors. Most of them remained in the United States. When the fort was decommissioned in April 1946, the property reverted back to New York State and was used to house veterans and their families. In 1949, the old fort was transferred to the State Education Department for development as a historic site. Its buildings were restored to their 1840s appearance. A reserve center was established at the post in 1959, housing an artillery company and later an engineer unit. The center is still active, and the fort's parade ground is used for military ceremonies and memorial services. In 1967, Fort Ontario State Historic Site was transferred to the State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, which has been restoring the fort to its circa 1868 appearance. In 1989, the nonprofit group Friends of Fort Ontario was formed to preserve, promote, and support the site in cooperation with state parks. New York's state historic sites are preserved and interpreted for your enjoyment, education, and enrichment. We invite you to visit all the sites and experience our remarkable past. For information, visit nysparks.com.